Hi. Many aspire to transcend death, dreaming of an existence in the ethereal realms of heaven, where life is stretched into eternity. Even skeptics who doubt the existence of such celestial domains often concede that an everlasting life in paradise would surpass the limitations of our mortal coil. However, the notion of an undying human existence only holds conditional appeal, with the consensus being that an eternal tenure in hell would be excruciating. But is this assumption valid? A cadre of distinguished thinkers have suggested that no form of immortal existence, be it celestial or otherwise, would be conducive to human fulfillment. The British thinker Bernard Williams is among the most prominent advocates of this perspective. Williams sought to demonstrate that immortality, regardless of the realm, would ultimately be detrimental to beings of our nature. One could envisage attaining everlasting life through various means, perhaps by embracing the nocturnal life of a vampire, digitizing one's consciousness, or residing in a utopian society where advanced medicine perpetuates youth and health indefinitely. Williams argued that immortality, whether experienced on our terrestrial plane or in a divine afterlife, would be undesirable for humans driven by the same underlying reasons. So, this discussion delves into the intriguing debate surrounding the allure of immortality, inviting viewers to ponder the true value of an endless existence. Williams digs into this thing called categorical desires. These are the desires that want us to stick around on this planet. What lights a fire under you to keep living? Bagging that promotion, watching your kiddo hit their milestones, or finally taking that dream trip? And here's the thing, categorical desires don't always have to be these big life defining quests. Maybe you are buzzing with excitement for next week's important football game. That anticipation, that's a categorical desire right there. So, could just wanting to be happy or snag some pleasure count as a categorical desire? William throws a flag out on that play. He reckons categorical desires are the ones that keep you in the game even when the going gets tough. If someone is staring down a future chock full of misery, the simple yearning for happiness won't cut it as a reason to hang in there. But here is where William throws a curveball. He suggests that these categorical desires have a shelf life. You can run through them in a couple of ways. First off, you might take off a categorical desire by actually achieving it. Take someone whose big dream is to become CEO of a certain company. Once they are sitting in the big chair, that particular desire is fulfilled and it's not driving them anymore. Now, Williams gives props to the idea that you can juggle multiple categorical desires at once. So, even if one desire gets crossed off the list or just loses its shine, you've got others in the pipeline keeping you charged. Say, our new CEO now aims to crush it in her role, or maybe she's got a totally different set of dreams fueling her fire. But what about when desires start to lose their sparkle? Consider our CEO hopeful who doesn't get the promotion. If she's mortal, That dream might propel her forward until the end, but throw immortality into the mix. Imagine her banging on that CO door for years only to keep getting the cold shoulder. Odds are she's gonna hit a wall of discouragement and the CO chase loses its allure as a reason to continue keeping on. Look, Williams isn't saying you'll ditch your desires into oblivion. After countless knockbacks, you might still fancy the idea of being CEO, even if you're not throwing your hat in the ring. It's about reaching a point where, despite still liking the idea, you acknowledge it's not going to happen. So, Williams is painting a picture where even the most burning desires, the ones that make life worth living, can fizzle out or get ticked off. And if you are sticking around forever, what happens when you run out of reasons to keep the lights on? Alright, let's dive into this concept of categorical desires, but keep it casual and clear. So, a categorical desire isn't just any old wish or dream. It's the kind of desire that makes you say, hey, sticking around and not kicking the bucket sounds pretty good because I've got some cool stuff I want to see happen. It's that drive that gives you something to look forward to, like a beacon of hope or an exciting milestone in your life's journey. Now, if someone is holding on to the dream of being the CEO of a certain company, more like wouldn't it be nice kind of way, without really believing it could happen, that's not what we are calling a categorical desire. They are not genuinely gearing up to see that dream become reality because deep down they don't see it as a real possibility. Williams tossed out the idea that every categorical desire, yep, even the big ones like becoming a CEO, would eventually either get ticked off the list or start to lose its shine if you had all the time in the world. Imagine being immortal. You would eventually find yourself in a spot where you've either achieved all your dreams or get bored of chasing them. What then? Spending eternity without anything new to get pumped about sounds like a one-way ticket to snooze wheel. To dodge this existing ennui, you might try picking up some brand new categorical desires after the old ones are spent. But here's the catch. Down the line, you wouldn't be chasing anything you currently care about. That brings us to a tricky question about personal identity. If you change so much over time, chasing all these new dreams, are you even the same person anymore? This throws a wrench into the whole immortality sounds awesome idea. Why would we want to live forever if it means ending up chasing dreams we don't even have yet? Or worse, running out of dreams altogether. Williams painted us a picture of a dilemma. Being immortal means you will either run out of stuff that makes life exciting or you will end up going after things you currently couldn't care less about. Neither option sounds too appealing, which leads him to conclude that immortality might not be all it is cracked up to be for folks like us. It is food for thought, especially when you consider what it is to be human. Maybe there is a version of immortality that could work for beings a little different from us, ones who don't get bored as easily, perhaps. As for us, as we are now, William suggests we might not be cut out to live forever. Let's now look at the other side. Having explored the constraints imposed by the fleeting allure of categorical desires, let's now turn our attention to how eternal quests might infuse immortality with an enticing appeal. One fascinating counter to Williams' theory suggests that certain categorical desires, like the thirst for knowledge, might never run dry. Picture a scientist with an insatiable curiosity about the universe's secrets. Is it conceivable that she would learn everything there is to know or lose her passion for discovery? The prospect of continually uncovering new mysteries seems to defy the idea of ever growing weary of learning. This begs the question, could the joy of learning new things truly fade, even after accumulating vast knowledge? What if immortality became appealing through the ability to recycle our deepest wishes and ambitions? Imagine a scenario where, given enough time, we might not recall fulfilling certain desires, assuming our memories aren't flawless. We could find ourselves yearning to achieve the same goals repeatedly, breathing new life into our eternal existence. Moreover, certain desires might naturally resurge, compelling us to experience them anew, like the simple pleasure of listening to a favorite song, thus providing an enduring reason to cherish life. In response to the dread of everlasting boredom, some argue that a life peppered with tedium can still hold significant meaning and value. Consider the director of a highly successful malaria eradication initiative who finds daily life monotonous. We would still recognize her life as profoundly meaningful, affirming compelling reasons for her continued existence, right? Another perspective challenges the notion that the evolution of our desires in an immortal life is inherently negative. The changes in our categorical desires over time mirror the transformations we experience from childhood to adulthood, transformations that don't diminish the worth of our lives. Just as toddlers have every reason to look forward to their future despite the inevitable shifts in their desires, so too might our immortal selves find new, fulfilling pursuits. Now, this viewpoint suggests that the development of new desires is not just a natural part of life, but a facet that adds depth and richness to our existence, whether mortal or immortal. In navigating the complex terrain of categorical desires, we uncover a spectrum of possibilities that challenge the notion of immortality as inherently undesirable. From the inexhaustible pursuit of knowledge and love to rejuvenation of desires and the meaningful embrace of life's monotony, these arguments invite us to reconsider the potential for fulfillment in an eternal existence. So, let's wrap up. As we have seen, Bernard Williams opened our eyes to the potential pitfalls of living forever, casting a shadow on the dream of eternal life by highlighting the finite charm of our deepest desires. Yet, as we delved deeper, we discovered that the thirst for knowledge, the joy of rediscovering old pleasures, and the evolution of our aspirations might just offer good incentive for eternity. So, the debate about immortality is not just about whether we can live forever, but whether we should want to. It challenges us to examine what makes life meaningful and to consider how those elements might transform over an endless timeline. While Williams warns us of the potential for boredom and existential ennui, the possibility of reinventing ourselves and our desires presents an intriguing counterpoint. Perhaps in this question of immortality and fulfillment, we find the true essence of what it means to be human, not in seeking answers, but in embracing the journey, the questions, and the endless possibilities that life, whether mortal or immortal, has to offer. So, as we ponder the prospects of eternal life, let's remember that the beauty of existence lies not in its duration, but in its depth, in our tango of desires and existence. Every step, every turn, and every leap towards that understanding brings us closer to the heart of what it truly means to live. And that is the whole idea. Hope you'll ponder over it, and we'll meet next time with a different topic. Thank you.